it was way more impactful to me than I thought it would be, where it was like, this is not a politician, like you said. This is a guy who was talking. His entire shtick was being civil and going to universities and debating anyone who wanted to talk to him. And they killed that guy. The most moderate, civil, still believed there was a way to solve this and people could come together and debate democratically. They killed that guy. That's fucking insane. And it's a big reason why the right as a whole is so incensed right now, where it's like, and then you see a lot of people making excuses like, oh, well, this is because of aggressive rhetoric. And it's like, yeah, the media has been calling half the country Nazis and saying, what do we do with Nazis? We eliminate them at all costs. We hurt them, we maim them, we kill them, but whatever means necessary, we eliminate Nazis. And who's a Nazi? Trump is Hitler and his supporters are Nazis. And clearly this assassin saw no difference between Charlie Kirk and like Adolf Hitler or an Adolf Hitler guy. And by the way, like, it's not okay to us. Even if there was an open Nazi talking on a college campus, that's what free speech is, to Kyle's point he often makes. You don't assassinate that guy either. Like, that's just as wrong. But this was just beyond the pale of like, this is the most moderate guy and some leftist killed him for his speech.
And anytime you have someone who effectively violates the rules of engagement, right, like doesn't engage in discourse and decides to elevate it to that, obviously the fear becomes like, well, what is the next step? What does the other side do? And that should be all of our fears as we go out into the new world of this happening. It's not that people haven't been assassinated, but this was, to me, it just felt different than anything politically motivated that I've seen in a long, long time.
Sure.
Yeah. If you don't like Charlie Kirk's ideas, you got to shoot down his ideas, not his jugular.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
and it's perfectly fine to not like. He wanted you to not like his ideas. That was his whole content model.
Yeah. It's like, I saw a clip of him today saying like, there are people like, why do you do this? And he's like, I think the real danger comes when people are no longer comfortable with what I'm doing now. You know, as long as we can talk amicably, then there is a resolution to this that isn't dastardly and horrible and bad for everyone involved. But when we can no longer do this, that's when shit gets insane and it gets bad and it will probably escalate and continue. And it's horrible what happened.
And the town hall concept of like listening to an audience that you are inherently unfamiliar with and being able to answer on the fly and truly be responsive and listen. You know, even in a presidential debate format, there's only going to be maybe 1 out of 4 is going to be that kind of thing. And they're all pre-screened questions. I mean, the boldness to go out and accept any question and answer it immediately in the way that he could was such a phenomenal gift from an intellectual perspective. But again, the boldness and the courage to go out and just, you know, I'm on your turf. I'm listening to your question. I'm not going to ask what it is beforehand. I'm just here to talk was incredible.
Did you see the MSNBC clip from before he was even confirmed dead, where some fucking cunt was like, you know, it could have been someone his supporter shooting in jubilation. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what world are you in that you think that's an okay thing to say right now? Because this guy's your political enemy and you're desperately trying to run cover for it in a way you think is palatable to your retarded audience at MSNBC. Like, just grow. I saw there's a clip also of, obviously there's a bunch of like far left commie style people waiting to, and I'm deliberately saying far left in all this, like leftist, because there's a ton of liberals who are aghast at this. Like, this is so wrong. This is not okay. And so I'm not maligning people who recognize that this is beyond the pale. But there was like a, you know, long-haired leftist guy that as he got shot and was laying there bleeding and people were taking cover, he stood up near the front of the question asking area and was like cheering and looking back at where the guy shot from, like, well done, like behaving that way in the moment.
Really?
Like, there is a level of cruelty here that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. I don't know. I think it's a sign of our times. we're all pretty desensitized, and the rhetoric gets bigger and bigger. More again, like you said, like Trump's not a great guy, but he's not Hitler, and like
They've
people
been
that
saying it
support
for 10
him
years.
aren't Nazis. And again, you don't shoot Nazis. It's not World War II. It's
Yeah. Like, just convince them they are wrong.
But we have to be sensitive to the idea that this happens because people are told that their opinions are more valid than they really are. And that was one of his biggest platforms, was to say, you're welcome to think whatever you want, but you're not welcome to insist that I think the same way. But when we give everybody a sounding board that they can express whatever hateful or terrible or glorious idea that they have to the world at large, and then we serve them content from people who agree with them in a vacuum chamber. This kind of thing, regardless of scope or scale, is relatively inevitable, because we're just telling people that you're right, you get to believe and talk about what you want, and here are a million people who think and feel the same way you do. So obviously that's most of the world, when that is inherently an algorithmic fallacy.
Yeah. People are going to believe that whatever they see most frequently is, even if they don't consciously think it. Like, if you spend all day looking at stuff that agrees with, if you're on Reddit all day, you're going to see the majority of people saying this is great, and you're going to misattribute that to thinking that is normal and okay. Or if you're on some like legitimate Nazi Twitter group and seeing all of that, you are going to be like, you're going to convince yourself that that's the case. Now, it's not as nearly as bad on Twitter as on Reddit, because Twitter, there's leftists all over Reddit, liberals all over, and most people can say whatever they want there. I saw tons of people excusing it and lauding it on Twitter, whereas on Reddit, it's totally, there's not even the pretense of free speech on Reddit. Like, it's a silo of a cyclone of constant reaffirmation of these beliefs, and that leads people to think that reality is not what it is. And it's people are continuing to get more atomized through this and alienated, and it's really, really scary what comes next. Because usually, like, if you know history at all, like, things like this don't tend to be one-offs. Like, they tried to kill Trump twice last year. They tried to kill Nick Fuentes a few months ago. They did kill politicians in
Minnesota, I think.
Yeah. And that guy was, if you read his story,
tell me.
The Minneapolis guy, that was weird. His friends were like, he's a conservative. And then he had those, what was it? The No Kings flyers in his car. And then he also had, and this was, the FBI recovered it, and then, a bunch of places reported it. He had like a schizo rambling note in his car that was like, Tim Walz told me to do this so that he could have Amy Klobuchar's seat in Senate. And it's like, that's fucking insane. Clearly, Tim Walz had nothing to do with this at all. That's conspiratorial nonsense, but it is a window into that guy's mind of, like, he thought he was doing something in eliminating those people that would benefit him. Like, he was crazy. But regardless if he's crazy or not, people act like being crazy is like, well, you can't punish him fully because he's crazy. It's like, that's actually a reason to punish him more. This person can't be around us. He can't be in public. This is 100% wrong. Like, the idea that you could have someone who's like incompetent to stand trial, this like weird. It's like, this person murdered someone and you're saying they're incompetent to stand trial, and some activist ensured they're let back out on the street. No, fucked up.
What's happening at the naval?
He's linking to 4chan theories on who the shooter is. I think it's irresponsible to pretend it's remotely, but like,
yeah, it is close enough to the event that there could be, during this show, a big new revelation, but right. I'm not going to claim to know until there is evidence.
I did see some person. I've got some video of him walking toward the college or whatever, but it's, they know this is him. Apparently his gait is odd. They think the rifle might be stuck down his pants leg, which you could do that. You got your Jinkos on.
But really, I think there's also there's something that I think we can reflect on that is refreshing about who he was and how he lived his life, in that he talked a lot about what would happen if he died, and that the only thing that he wanted to be remembered for was his boldness and his faith, and the fact that he was unapologetic about his love for his Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and what that he had confidence in what it meant at the point that he was separated his soul from his body. And so I think the fact that we have the opportunity with whatever influence that we wield to make those kinds of positions, those kinds of stances, those kinds of issues as clear as we possibly can, I think that is the influencer call to arms, more or less, is to make sure that if this is the last thing you get to say to whatever audience you enjoy, that it is clearly the message that you want to convey. And I think that that's the most beautiful thing about the legacy that he will leave, is that we know where he stood. We know what he believed. We knew what was the good, bad, and ugly. And I think that, I think we all need to kind of take a step back, regardless of how many followers or how many people listen to whatever it is you have to say, and know that that is the blessing of living in today, is that we have more of an ability than ever to convey our positions, our passions, our ideas, and what really, really matters to us.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. I agree. It was way more impactful to me than I thought it would be, where it was like, this is not a politician, like you said. This is a guy who was talking. His entire shtick was being civil and going to universities and debating anyone who wanted to talk to him. And they killed that guy. The most moderate, civil, still believed there was a way to solve this and people could come together and debate democratically. They killed that guy.
Doesn't like losing an argument.
Yeah, whatever. Let him have his fun.
Dude, you guys were arguing for you clogged up WhatsApp for a fucking hour and a half yesterday or the day before, whatever it was.
In my mind, it was so much longer than that. Am I crazy?
I loved Woody's like popping in and being like, boys, what do I do about this video game right now? Because it's going to be intense.
I appreciated it because I was tired of you guys talking around each other. It was like, why don't you guys get in a fucking voice call and have a real debate about this?
You think he'd hop in a voice call with me to argue about it?
No, I don't.
Oh, I'd be more than willing to. You don't think he would?
Probably not. Probably not.
That's weird.
What were you guys? You were going back and forth.
It was over current event stuff. Like it was mostly the stuff we already covered tonight.
Oh yeah. It started with the Charlie Kirk thing, and then like got poisoned from there. And I would put my phone down and pick it up, and it was like 22 new messages. I'm like, fuck, I know I don't need to see any of this, but I don't want to miss out. Here, let's go. Okay, bullshit.
Oh, you do that? Dude, when I see there's been like 50 messages in that chat, I'm
looking at it. It's 3 hours from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
It was too long. But like, I didn't know you read every message in that chat, because if I haven't been active in that in a while, no, Kyle, if I haven't been active in a while, you know that little button in the bottom right that says like zoot to the bottom?
I'm an expert in that button.
Yeah, I know Woody. Woody is like based and chill pilled in the chat, where he'll just be like, don't give a shit about this gay stuff. I'm playing a video game right now. What should I do to stay energized? And I'm like, almonds, you've earned it.
Like, that was a solid answer. I really like the tech. I told it to Jackie. She was on board too.
Yeah.